Hello, Void visitors, and welcome back to Voidtrain. In this episode, we start out here at the station on the other side of the gate. For some reason, after the recent updates that have gone on in the game and stuff, it just decided to put us on the other side of the gate from where we had last saved, which is a little sad. I had sort of wanted to see going through the gate, but it is what it is. I will note, as you've already noticed, that this will not be a series that is just weekly like my normal series. The reason for that is because there's three of us playing now. My fiance, as well as Dazzzani and I, are all playing together, and trying to find days where we can all get together to record and such is just a bit on the challenging side. So, I do have two videos here that I will be putting out over the following few days. There you see my fiance's character in the game. She sort of startled me here because I wasn't expecting her to be in front of me. But I will try to record every few weeks if I can with them, and will hopefully be able to publish videos on a fairly regular basis in the game. But it is the challenge, as I said, of trying to play with others, and we all have jobs outside of YouTube, so we do have quite a bit going on, not to mention the fact that my fiance and I are currently planning our wedding, so it is taking a bit of our time up doing those things. But here we are in this first station. It was sort of an interesting place because the controls are slightly different. And at this point here, I was struggling with my controller again. I've had this happen several times in Dead by Daylight, for those who have watched that series, and you know in that series what I ended up doing was I ended up switching over to using a mouse and keyboard. And that's actually what I did in here, was I switched over to the mouse and keyboard, and so you will see during this video I'm having to sort of relearn the controls because I had gotten used to the controls for Voidtrain with the controller. I am sort of thinking it may be an issue with my actual controller and not something with the game now that it's happening both in Dead by Daylight and in Voidtrain. The controller seems perfectly fine for Madden still, but not in these other games, so I'm not exactly sure. Here I was trying to swim up to that second level, and it would not allow me to. That's not something with the controller or anything, it just does not allow you to do that, which is a little disheartening. It would be nice to be able to sort of go up different levels with that as well. But here in a moment, I think, is when I will actually switch from the joystick and stuff over to the controller, and so you'll see me pause for a few moments here while I get that sorted out. But I think what I'm going to do is, after I get these videos uploaded, I'm probably going to go ahead and try using my fiance's controller and see if that works without any issues, especially in Dead by Daylight. Because if it does, then it really indicates to me that it's my controller's just getting old and going bad on me, which is very possibly the case. I have used it for several years now.
Well, the goddesses of time and fate can't weave a long life path for everyone. Well, at least he won't be needing the revolver anymore.
Alright, so here I have the revolver, and I've changed controls over to the keyboard. So,
Who do you think this skeleton was? So many diagrams on the table. He's probably some kind of designer. Well, used to be.
the issue with it was I sort of lost track of where they had gone while I was changing the keyboard for the controller, and so had to sort of figure out where they were and how to get to them. So, playing around with figuring that out right now.
He left the combination of the safe right out in the open. That was a great idea. But don't ever do the same thing, okay?
And at the same time hearing storyline going on and really wishing I was there to see it. But we will get over to that room.
I got an idea. We're gonna need those parts soon.
We will get over to that room here in a moment, and once we're there, then we'll go ahead and see what it was that he was talking about here. As I said, really, most games, I'm not too concerned about using a controller anymore. Quite frankly, I've sort of begun to enjoy using the mouse and keyboard. Uh, for Dead by Daylight, I feel like I'm actually doing better with Killer now that I'm using it. And really, for Voidtrain here, it really seemed to me like I have more choices with the mouse and keyboard, and it's a bit easier to use. I don't have to go into submenus and select use on it. I can just press a different button and do that. So I sort of like the mouse and keyboard in that respect. So here we do see the skeleton and stuff. Didn't want to waste bullets on it, but I sort of wanted to hit it with the hammer. Evidently, you are not able to hit it with the hammer, so put that back away. Thought about using a bullet here, but at this point I was not sure if we had unlimited ammo or not. I do see the symbol there that seems like it's infinite next to the 6 at the bottom of the screen, but I just wasn't sure. And I would hate to have only gotten 6 rounds and then have wasted my ammo on something as silly as shooting a skeleton.
Now about my brilliant idea and the details. The console on the platform looks suspiciously similar to the device in the blueprints. It was mentioned there in the train upgrade paragraph.
So here I went over to the console, and here we can see that you're able to modify your train. We don't have enough supplies to build a second cart, but I am able to expand the train. So that's what I do here. We go ahead and expand it.
An engineer. Truly an engineer.
I'm not sure if it's going to be a great thing to make the train multiple cars or not. That's something I guess we'll have to sort of discover as time goes on. Did have the option of adding modules to it as well, such as more brakes and things of that nature. But I just don't think with only one car of it right now that was a really necessary thing. Then we've got my fiance over there who's honking the horn on the train. So go back over here and I debate, well here I'm just trying to figure out the controls some, and I'm thinking about putting in flooring here. But at this point we're still very short on supplies like wood, so I decide not to at this point in time. As you will see probably in the next video, supplies actually become something that's not really too much of an issue for us for most things. We are running short on a few things, but things like wood we're doing pretty well on. One thing that I did notice here is that it seems like my food has entirely decreased to 0, yet there doesn't seem to be a penalty for it, so that's sort of an interesting thing. As I said here, I'm sort of trying to figure out the controls with the mouse and keyboard, so I'm going around trying the different things out. Dazzzani, who also uses mouse and keyboard, was also telling me some of the controls so that way I could figure them out. And it has been a while since we had played, and so I was trying to recall also what it was that we were busy building, or we were supposed to be building at the time. I remembered suddenly that we needed to build the garden, so that was the next thing we needed to do. So here I'm just getting the supplies that were in my inventory out a bit, so I had a little bit more space on me. Then realized I could throw a punch, which I had not realized I could. And again here, just trying to figure out the controls a bit. I was wanting to eat some of the organics to figure out how they were. Then we have this person who just showed up in our game. Unfortunately, as I said again, we did have to make it open. And so we had this person here who's honking the horn that jumped into our game. I had thought it was Dazzzani at first, and he said no, it was not. He made me aware of the fact it was not, and so we went ahead and kicked him out. It's one of those that it's like, as I said, having people who are not part of your real team in the game is just sort of a pain in the butt. That was a perfect example there. At least he didn't do something like steal our supplies and whatnot, but he was just being a complete jerk by honking the horn over and over again. really achieving nothing with it. Just, as I said, sort of being an attention grabber. So the next thing we had needed to do was to put in this garden here. So I went ahead and did that, and then we found that we need seeds for this garden. I don't know where we get seeds. We have not found them as of yet. So I'm thinking it might be something that we will get to on the research. But as of right now, we have not gotten to it. Then the horn was being honked again, and turned around and found out that this time it was just my fiance being a little bit of a pain. So here I was looking through these things, figuring out what it is we needed for each of them, and what we had the capabilities of making, and decided the armory would be the next thing that we'd go ahead and make, because I already had the supplies necessary for it. So was just getting a little bit of room in my stuff. As you can see, one thing I'm noticing right away is that the train is a bit on the small side now with 3 of us playing. Having to figure out how to put the wood back in here, because again, using a different control setup here with the keyboard, and it wasn't going as easily as I thought it would. But what I was attempting to do was to cook some food for myself there, so that way I could get rid of the hunger issue. But again, as I said, there's been no negative effect of it. I haven't been starving or being hurt by it. So at times I will eat food, and you'll see probably in the next video, I do consume food at points simply because of the fact that we have too much of it. So I'll eat it because of that. Then I'm trying to figure out how it is that I eat the organics, which again, just a bit of a challenge because of the new controls. So I do apologize that it is taking a little bit to get through things here, but it's just sort of figuring things out. I've noticed we have these slots here, but I don't know exactly what those are for. I'm guessing weapons or tools perhaps, but definitely not where the organics go. So there I finally figured out if I pressed E while just highlighting it, then I could eat it. At this point, it was one that we were pretty much ready to go, so we will go ahead and pull that lever here momentarily and release the brakes. The exit there was very quick and interesting in that way. And it seems like those stations, which is the best term I have for them, are going to be sort of the break between chapters in a way. So now that we've left that station, we're on to number 2 or path 2 here. And we're just going to start collecting more materials. As I said, at this point we're still struggling a little bit for materials, but that will change here shortly. But for right now, basically, I'm wanting to swim around a bit. As I said, it's been a few weeks since I've played, and I do love that mechanic of this game of getting to just float around and explore the world. Then we'll go ahead and get back to me creating and researching things for us, while both my fiance and Dazzzani go ahead and go off the train to get things that we need. So here I'm just seeing which type of bars I need for each of the products, so I can go over to the smelter and create the bars, and that way I can go ahead and get the research done for that next section. I will say, as I had suspected ever since I played the demo version of the game, I do feel like it is the case that this game is just a lot more fun when you have friends playing with you. It is doable by yourself, but the thing is you'd have to stop and start so much to play it on your own. I think it would take a lot of the fun out of the game. Like I said, I mean, right now I'm creating and doing research and everything like that on the train, while the two of them are able to move the train forward, able to float around as need be, and basically able to get everything that we need and bring the supplies back for me, so we're able to function as a team. We can keep moving forward and getting things done. And in that way, we're able to check a lot of research off the list fairly quickly here. So I'm able to take care of the armory. The next thing we need is the powder here. So I need one of these unstable compounds, or unstable chemicals. So we'll go ahead and make one of those. And we'll need more wood in this as well. I do have that sturdier wood, but I don't really see a point in burning that right now. I'd rather keep that for now and see how that might be used in the future. And as we're going, they're telling me things like, can you start the train, can you back it up? And I'm telling them things like, I need more wood, or I need more metal and such, so that way they know if they get the particular item that we need, they go ahead and put it into one of the storage containers on the train, let me know that we have it, so that way I can go ahead and create everything that we're needing. So that's why at points you'll see me do things like turning the brake on or off, or switching it from going forward to going backwards and such. And for the most part, basically,
not clever or intelligent. You can hardly call it dangerous either.
basically I'm just doing as they're asking and just helping them out as best I can. Now here we're finally introduced to what those flying creatures are, it seems. They are evidently leeches. They don't do any damage or anything like that, which is a good thing, because otherwise they'd be a much more problematic thing for us. But what they can do is they'll slow down the train overall, which can be a bit of a pain. So you have to end up shooting them in order to get them removed from the train. And again, here's one of those times where my fiance had said, can I back the train up for her? So I'm doing that. Waiting for them to tell me to stop it. Then I'll go ahead and stop it, and I'll let them take control of the train probably, while I go ahead then and go back to creating. So checking again to confirm what it is I need, and then figuring out, I was assuming the lab would probably be where the powder was created, and I was correct, so that was a good thing. And then finding I need more unstable chemical for it. Not really a surprise. Then again here, basically topping off the things that I have in my possession, and making some more room in there for them to put more things into the storage chest. As I joked to them about, I sort of found it funny in the fact that I'm the one doing the research and creating chemical compounds and such, because for anybody who knows me, chemistry was my weakest subject in school. I am not good at the subject at all, and it's a struggle for me to pass such a class. So here, basically, looking at the next line of things, and the biggest one to me that stuck out was the food one, so that way we have to worry less about food overall. And so I went with that as the first thing to do research on. Saw that I needed to have 3 pieces of cooked food in order to do the research, so I will go ahead and get those. And soon enough here I realized, you know, I could cook more than one thing and like make more than one bar at the same time, everything of that nature. But for now, I'm still being sort of foolish with it and doing one at a time. So as you can see sort of in the background, as I said, they've got the train moving where they need to. They're putting things into the chest and whatnot, going out and collecting more. Really, I do recommend this game in that way. For one, it's a very relaxed game at this point. There's not really a lot of drama going on. But the other thing about it is it does work great for team building as well. You communicate well with your teammates, you work well together. It just makes the game flow so much better. So I got that research done for us and improved our food overall, I'd say. Then I find that for the armor plate, I needed another bar. So we'll get that ready. And again here, just topping up my supplies with what's in the box. So, we had what we needed for the armor plate, but then we run into the problem that right now we are having in the game is we need more leather. We only have one piece of leather, and for the next piece of research it requires two pieces of leather. And we have been searching the void in all directions looking, and we have not found any more leather. So we're at a bit of a standstill with research until we're able to get that. So here's one of those leeches that's stuck onto our train. And I decided to go ahead and take a shot, see how it works and everything, and get a close-up of the leech creature. Additionally, I wanted to see if they would give us any kind of good for having killed them, but does not seem that they do. Was really hoping that they might give us leather or something like that, which would have been a nicety. So I take the one piece of leather, move it over to my stuff. And again with these, just top up my supplies. Then I'll go ahead and make the bolts that we need for this. So that way the only thing we're waiting on is the piece of leather. So once we are able to get the leather, we should be good to go. At this point we've figured out that we have unlimited ammo, so Dazzzani was trying to shoot some of those flying things. I don't think those are all leeches. I think there are some that are leeches, but not all of them. I'm not exactly sure how that works. Here I'm just checking one more time to make sure that yes, we are in fact missing a piece of leather, unfortunately. I decided, you know, I might as well make some food while I'm waiting. So I'm going to end up cooking some food, but then I realized, why am I going to waste all the wood to make all of this food right now? So once this particular piece is done, as far as the wood, I'm going to go ahead and stop it there and not waste any more wood on cooking right now. So there we go. Cancel that. get those 3 pieces that we did cook. I'll eat those. And then, as I said, my job for right now, I'm sort of stuck because I do not have what I need to continue our research. And so I'm looking at what it is I can do. And we did research the armory, but we haven't actually created the armory yet. So I decided I might as well build that while we're waiting. And so for this area of the train that we added on to, what we have to do is put down some wood flooring first. So I go ahead and put a piece over here of wood floor, and then we'll go ahead and build the armory on top of it. And seeing what I need as far as the ingredients for the armory, so that way I can go ahead and make them. And as you can see now, I've started to do more than one bar and such at a time. Just makes it simpler. The game allows it this way, and I mean it is very convenient in the game for that. So now we have the bars. I will need to make a couple of copper ones as well. And again, really not that we need the armory right now, but since my job is sort of maintaining the train, upgrading it and everything, I don't have a lot to do if I'm not doing something there. So I figure while we're waiting for that piece of leather, I might as well be working on that. So with those in hand, looking at what I need to convert them into before making the armory. So I needed the spring and the copper wire. Don't know why exactly that is. I don't know how that works as far as making an armory, but I guess that's how science works. So I'll take that stuff. And if you notice, I always grab stuff as soon as we create it or whatnot. We're really, as I said, a bit concerned about somebody coming into the game, like that one person did with the horn honking, and then just taking things that we have laying around, which will then screw our game up some. So we always try to have the stuff on us whenever possible, so that there's not the chance of somebody becoming a pirate and stealing from our game. As I said, I do wish that we could use the friends only thing, but as of right now, it does not seem to be working still. We went to the friends only, but it automatically right now seems to go to open server. So I'm guessing that they are working on the issue overall, because that has changed from the way it was before. Now here I find that the armory table basically allows you to modify a weapon. So I'll actually put my gun onto it here in a few moments, because that's sort of the task we have. But otherwise, if we had more barrels and stuff like that, we would be able to modify a gun with it. Right now, we don't have anything to modify a gun with, so it's just sort of the way it is. And again, topping off my supplies. So at this point, I sort of look at it as I've gotten pretty much all the construction on the train that I can done. There's not a lot to do right now until we get that piece of leather, so I'm going to join the others in basically harvesting what we can from the environment. And with that, we're coming to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed what we did in this episode of Voidtrain, and if you did, please go ahead and click that like button. If you've not already, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, so that you're aware when I produce new videos in the future. Thank you, and I hope to see you all in the void.